precious building.
You are more than the air.
Listen close, feel my heart.
I see her face and notice she sees. Your reflection is more than you see. You are more than a phenom, lasting essence longer than eons. In the plateau that we on.
Thank you for tuning in to the Poetic Property Podcast. I'm your host, Kamplexx, the poet, author, father, and entrepreneur. As usual, we get down with our mental health check. This week was actually pretty rough for me. I don't know why. Let me not say rough. I mean, it was busy mentally. I was having a couple positive panic attacks, if you would say, because I had so many ideas going on in my mind, and it just created this fog. I was extremely exhausted, extremely moody. It was just crazy, and I didn't understand why. Like I was staying up till like 2, 3 in the morning, getting right up at 5, 6. Excuse me. And I'm so sorry. I just been really exhausted, just trying to keep my ideas in order, deal with whatever stress that comes throughout the week. I'm really trying my hardest to just one day at a time, like I've been saying throughout the pod, just every day that I'm blessed to wake up, I try to fight through that day, not worrying about what happened the day before, whatever negative or, anything at work, anything with the kids, anything in general. I really have been focused on the actual day. But for whatever reason, this week has been difficult to calm myself because of the growth that I'm trying to make. But like I preach, patience, purpose, order. So sometimes you got to be able to slow yourself down. You got to be able to drive slow, per se, because the ideas that I have, I feel like they're good ideas. I feel like I have to figure out how to execute them properly, or else it'll be jumbled. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get more concise with what I'm trying to build as a brand, so that I can integrate my kids in it eventually with their own talents that they have, so that we can just have a creative studio so that everybody could express their creativity and figure out how to monetize it correctly. So that starts with me as the head of the household. So I just had a bunch of stuff going in my mind, trying to figure out, how to integrate my engineer and how to integrate my artists, my 2 oldest kids. So it was rough. And I'm finding that the positive panic attacks are as overwhelming as the negative ones. And I learned that in therapy. I learned that, through my doctor's visits and stuff like that, is a lot of times the panic attack is always not from something negative. You could just be triggered and the excitement could just go, and then the ideas go, and it gets super foggy. So, I write it down. Like I say, I always write it down, whether it's on my phone, on a piece of paper, or type it in the computer, so that, excuse me, I'm so sorry. So that I could have note of it. That allows me to kind of calm down, breathe. It was just weird that this week none of my techniques really worked. And it's fine. Some days they work, some days they don't. But like I keep saying, the goal is to keep pushing towards whatever your goal is. You don't have to sit in your depression. You don't have to sit in your anxiety. You can fight and try to figure out ways to get through it. So that's what I did this week. I just really tried to take each day for what it was and not try to overdo it. If I had the energy to do something, I did it. If I didn't have the energy, write it down, take note of it, and just calm down. And it was just really weird because I didn't understand why it was like it. I can't even explain how much my mind, what I call, was cycling. Like, it was just so much, super exhausting. But I'm here for another pod. You know how we get down. So over this week, I've been seeing a lot of posts, and I've been hearing a lot about, mentors and stuff like that, and people wanting to lead others. And in the time that we're in, it's a quarantine. The quarantine is being lifted in some places or whatever, but we're still in the middle of a pandemic. We're still in the middle of racial injustice. We're still in the middle of all these things, and a lot of people are trying to become mentors now. You got to be careful of that. You got to be careful, because if the person, I'm a firm believer, if you can't mentor on me, if I'm trying to get somewhere that you've never been or been through, right? If you're not there or never been through it, you can't mentor me. You know what I mean? And then also you have to there's a lot of things that take into account when you're trying to mentor someone, because a mentor sometimes will feel that they will mentor you from a place of pity. And you have to be careful of that. And when that happens, they begin to want to drive during your journey. And you have to be strong enough not to let nobody put you in the passenger seat. It doesn't matter how good that it sounds. It doesn't matter how weak you feel. It doesn't matter. You can never let no one put you in the passenger seat of your journey, because they don't know where you're trying to get to. They have an assumption. You don't even really know where you're trying to get to. You're just trying to get to the next step. So be careful when you're allowing people to come in your life, and tell you things. It doesn't matter if it's a mentor, that you found over the internet, a mentor that you found at your church, or somebody in your family. You have to be careful on what you choose. Like, what are they mentoring you for? Don't just get a mentor for the sake of having a mentor, because a lot of times you don't need it. Yes, you probably need guidance in certain things, and yes, you need help with certain things, but everybody is not a mentor, and everybody is not a mentee. It may be times that you need help with something. It may be times that you don't know the answer to something. Research. And at the point you're researching, you can't find, and it's becoming too difficult, find someone who has been through the journey that you're about to travel, so that they can help assist you. Because when you get a mentor that's going through what you've gone, when you get a mentor that has already gone through the obstacles that you're about to go through, they're very delicate in how they treat you. They're very precise in the words that they choose to give you to move forward, so they don't take over your journey. We get lost in verified accounts. We get lost in, oh, my friend said such and such was a good mentor. We get lost in the retweets, the reposts, the shares when it comes to mentor. I see a lot of people, on social media mentoring, and it's just a lost cause. The things that they like, these relationship mentors, these spiritual mentors, like, it's so weird to me. Maybe because I'm logical, and a lot of times I look at stuff and it's just like it doesn't even sound right. But to a person who hasn't been through nothing, these people are epic, and they love them, and they repost, and they do all that, and it's just like, find your route first. You have to have a foundation of something before you lead or follow. And if you start moving too fast, you're going to wind up in the hands of someone that's going to crush you. And I'm telling you that from experience. I base what I say on the things that I've been through. So hopefully, and I'm not trying to be funny, but like it's a Jay-Z line. Hov went through that, so you ain't have to go through that, or however it goes. And it's like, for me, that's what I talk about. That's what I'm trying to convey to you on my podcast. I heavily followed two people in my lifetime, outside of my brother. Like, my brother has never let me down as a mentor, as a counselor, as my brother, as a friend. He's never let me down. But it's two people outside of my family that I have followed in real life. You feel me? And when I needed help the most, it was a sense of disappointment. It was like it was almost like they were chastising me for needing help, and I'm confused because, respectively, you're my mentor. We've been going through this time after time. Now, when I need mentor knowledge or mentorship, you crush me. Right? The first time I was devastated. Like, it was like it's hard to even speak about. It's hard to even speak about. The second time, I was already kind of jaded at that point, so it was just like, all right, whatever. But it affected me. And so I started, from those experiences, I learned everybody don't need a mentor. Yeah, everybody need help, but not everybody doesn't need help all the time. So I'm telling you from experience, be careful who you allow to mentor you. Make sure that that person has your best interest in heart, for one, and then for two, which is the main thing, have they been through where you're trying to get to? Are they at where you're trying to get to? Because if not, you don't need them. They can be cool. You can chop it up with them. But as far as leaning on them for guidance and understanding and wisdom, that person may not be for you. So remember, drive slow. Because if you move too fast, you won't be able to see. You move, everything is flying by you so fast, you're not able to focus. You're not able to pinpoint what's needed. So you got to slow down. Society has us brainwashed where we're not supposed to get no sleep. If you sleep, you ain't making money. If you sleep, you a bum. If you no, you need to rest up so that you can properly be guided through your journey. You have to be rested up because you're the one you have to make the decisions that are gonna help you through this. You got to make the right decisions if you're going to get a mentor. You got to make the right decisions if you're not going to get a mentor. You got to make all these, but don't go too fast. I keep saying patience, purpose, order. Like, this week was really crazy to me. All the things that I saw, all the things that I saw on the timeline, things going on in the world, things going on around me. It's just like, at what point do you fight for yourself? At what time do you understand this is your journey? Nobody's responsible for that. Like, one of the most historic lines is, nobody put baby in the corner. That's how I feel about your journey. Doesn't matter how hard it gets. Doesn't matter how long the road is. You don't let nobody put you in the passenger seat of your journey. If you got to keep pulling over, cool. Keep pulling over. If you got to stop for understanding, stop. Don't be afraid to stop for understanding. But don't let nobody drive, because it's your journey. It's your journey. And you got to believe in yourself. You have to believe in everything that's going to make you be who you are supposed to be. Everything that is supposed to be, you need to be that. I remember I was 26. I'm 37 now. I had a stroke. And it messed with my memory to this day. And I was just now kind of really getting back to being able to recite my poems, knowing them word for word, and I got discouraged. I got discouraged because I couldn't remember no more. I couldn't recite the poems that I needed to recite. And we're back. I apologize. I didn't have my charger in. So my laptop was about to die, and then yeah. So anyway, I'm back. So it's my first time having to punch in. If it sounds bad, my apologies. I'll work on that for next go round. Anyhow, so I was saying that I was embarrassed, and I was like ashamed, and it took a toll on me because I couldn't remember my poems. And these are poems that it took me years to assemble, years of pain, years of heartache to come up with, to learn how to recite, and I have a hard time reciting them. Like I have to read them from my phone, read them from the book, and I was embarrassed, so I just stopped. Because in my mind, I'm like, nah, if I'm gonna say the poems, I need to say them from memory so I can be able to perform them. And I'm super discouraged, and I give up. And this is now the second time that I've given up on my poetry. At that time, that was the second time in about 7 years that I had given up on it. So I had put it down, like, man, whatever. Try to get my health together, and things start happening time after time, just obstacle after obstacle. And then I had made up my mind, like, nah, man, I feel lost without my poetry. I feel lost without spoken word. Like, I feel lost without being able to create. Like, these things are who I am. These things are what I'm born to be. I'm born to help people with the words that I have. Like, not trying to be like that, but I'm very confident in my ability and my skill to put words together in poems and give you a message and give you a lesson and help. That's what my goal is, what my goal was. And so I started writing again. I said, you know what, I'm going to do an album. I said, these poems that I can't remember, I'm gonna put them on an album. I'm gonna put them out. I don't care if anybody buys them, streams them, whatever. But I want to do it because I want to feel comfortable with who I am, right? And the best way for me as a creative to feel comfortable is for me to create whatever I'm going to create, and then give it out. Because I'm blessed with a skill, whether anybody wants to believe it or not. It's going to hit one way or the other when it's supposed to hit. As long as I stay diligent, as long as I stay in my lane and still exercise my patience, my purpose is going to come, and it's going to come in order. So now I went from being afraid, like, man, I can't remember the poems, to putting out 3 poetry albums in 1 year. I'm working on a new show. I'm working on a new album. I'm working on new products daily because I drove slow. I didn't let no one tell me you should be doing this or you should be doing that. I kept doing what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, because eventually how the universe is set up, your story is already done, right? Whatever is supposed to be for you is already for you. Sometimes you miss a turn. Sometimes you go left when you should have went right, and sometimes you go right when you should have went left. And guess what? You're always going to meet up to the point where your journey is supposed to be. It's just going to take a little bit longer because we're hard-headed. It's going to take a little bit longer because instead of listening to our own intuition, we get these mentors that guide us to their journey. We start telling our ideas to quote-unquote friends, and then their response is discourage. You start telling ideas to family members, and their response dictates if it doesn't sound like they're proud of you for coming up with the idea, you could miss your exit. You can miss your exit trying to appease them. But you have to be able to always remain in the driver's seat of your journey. You have to always be able to say, okay, cool, this might be hard, but I have to keep it moving. And sometimes you might just have to stop the car. You might have to just stop and say, you know what? I gotta sit right here. I gotta sit right here. Gas is low, air pressure is low, radiator fluid is low, engine is overheating. I gotta sit right here for a minute because I gotta figure this out. I moved through the last piece of the journey way too fast. I gotta figure this part out. I listened to the wrong people. I let these memes get in my mind and make me believe that, I'm not on track for what I'm supposed to do. And sometimes you just have to stand still and you have to start listening to yourself. Nobody knows you like you know you. Even your therapist. I go to therapy. I am as honest as I can be in in therapy. I try to make sure that, if I'm talking about anything, I'm being as honest as I can. Remember, I'm big on accountability. I'm big on self-awareness. I'm big on understanding yourself. I'm big on doing these things for yourself because how can you do these things for others? Like, how can you get help from someone when you don't even know how to help yourself? You don't even know what you need help with, right? Because you're moving so fast to the next thing because, you're 20 and everybody say by 25 you should be married with a kid. You're in college, but you kind of not feeling college. You want to be an entrepreneur, but everybody say you got to get a degree. And then, you get your bachelor's, but your homeboy is going to school for, what is it? The doctorate or the master's, whatever. We tend to start doing things because things around us is like, oh, well, if you don't do this, you're behind. I think that's why a lot of us are messed up. I think that is a big part beyond having to compress our emotions and them compounding as we grow older and being silenced from not speaking about it. I really feel that the competitive nature of human beings is just, I don't know why that's part of us. And I'm not trying to rewrite, DNA or whatever. I'm just, I think about that. Like, why are we so in competition with others before we're in competition with ourselves? Why are we so quick to love others before we love ourselves? Why will we die for others but won't live for ourselves? Like, we're like, the journey is so many things, and we tend to just want everything other than what's best for us on our journey. Sometimes the struggle is best for the journey. Sometimes the obstacle, the tribulations are best for the journey. You don't get understanding and perfection. You don't gain wisdom from what you already know. You gain wisdom from things that you go through and things that, that create a blockage in your life and your mind and your soul and your spirit. You get to a point to where it's like, I want to figure out why that keeps happening. I want to figure out why can't I get over this thing. I want to figure out what is the addictive nature inside of me. I want to figure out why does this particular thing make me lash out. It's all a part of the journey, but if you allow people to put you in a passenger seat, now all of that is compounded. All of that is compounded with your mentor's issues now, because the conversation is a two-way street. So if you're telling your mentor something and it triggers something in them, now they're putting the weight of their issues on you. Because even though people are like, I've learned this just mentally, is just a logical thing, right? If I am going through, like, I'm at point A, you're at point B, right? While you're helping me to get to point A or get to point B, somebody is helping you get to point C. So as you are looking up and looking up to your mentor, understand they're looking up to their mentor. And sometimes it don't match. That's why it's important that you get someone, if you feel that you need it, you get someone who's been through what you went through or what you're going through, so that it's more of a, if you in the passenger seat, y'all got both of those. It's like the driving school car. It's 2 steering wheels, so it's no passenger. So sometimes sometimes you're gonna need help because you kind of don't know. You're gonna need help to, the weather is too rough, the water is too wavy, and you're gonna need that guidance. But you always need to have some sense of control over what's going on. Anything that you are responsible to control. And I had to learn this as I grew older. Anything that you have anything that you have control over, you have to try to do it to the best of your ability. It's a lot of things that we complain about that we don't control, we never will be able to control. That's just how life is. But we have to pay attention to things that we are responsible to control. Every day you wake up, you got to figure out, this is how I'm gonna handle this. This is what I'm gonna do. This is how I'm gonna be. And you have to be able to live with that. You have to be able to stand on that. Like, I'll never give up my right to my journey. I never will. Meaning, I will never allow someone to tell my story. The only people that are even validated to tell my story is my kids. And they're going to be repeating the story that I left. You feel me? They're not going to be telling no false narratives. When they tell my story, it's going to be because of the journey that I went on, that they seen me go on, that I shared with them, and that they're going to be able to tell that story correctly. Other than that, in real time, nobody in real time has control of my journey. I'm never giving up my right to be who I am. I'm never giving up my right to be creative, to be a poet, to be a father, to be an entrepreneur, to be a man, to be a black man. I'm never giving up that right. It is my journey. And I choose to drive slow so that I can learn everything that I didn't learn as a child. Everything I didn't learn and thought I was too cool for as a teenager. Everything that was too much pressure as a newly married person. So it was too much pressure as a new father. All those things that were quote unquote so hard for me to grasp because there was so much stuff going on. I'm learning that. I'm choosing to find me. I'm choosing to pull back. I'm choosing to drive slow. I'm choosing to pay attention to the things that I didn't pay attention to before. You're not going to knock me off my square because I'm no longer giving you the key to the journey. Period. I'm never giving up the key to my journey because it's mine, and I want you guys to feel the same way. Your creativity is yours. Your life is yours. Nobody on earth is responsible for you. So don't give nobody the right to take what's in your mind, what's in your heart, what's in your soul. If you are breathing, you have the strength to fight for you. I don't care how bad I feel. I don't care how hard it is for me. I don't care how, I struggle mentally. I don't care about the anxiety. I don't care about the positive panic attacks. I'm never getting in the passenger seat of my own journey. I'll never let no one drive. I'll never give up my rights. I am who I am. I don't care what a bad memory, afraid to do the poetry, fighting through it and doing it. And I don't care. I don't care what no one says about me. I want you guys to be able to not care either. I want you to love yourself so much that you don't even realize that people don't love you. I want you to care about yourself so much that you don't even know that people don't care. I'm at a peaceful place because I decided to seclude myself physically in where I live, right? Because you got to do stuff alone, right? No matter how hard it seems, because I tell my kids I struggle with this. I struggle with this daily. I never thought that me and my 2 oldest brothers would never lose access to each other. And I mean physically. Like, when we were little, and kids don't understand this. Kids, when it's multiple siblings, you don't understand this. In your mind, you're always going to be with your siblings. Always. I'll never forget, my eldest brother moved to Atlanta. I lost my mind. I was so confused, like, wait, what? And the way that he left, it was just like, oh, okay, all right, cool. My brother right above me, he went to college. He was leaving for college, and I was crying. And I felt so, I felt so betrayed. Because I'm the youngest of my mom's kids, right? And we grew up together, thick and thin, been through so much. And I felt betrayed, and I'm like, I can't believe this. You know, y'all leaving, and I'm in an airport. Mind you, I probably was a senior, or maybe I was like a young adult. I wasn't a child when my brother went to college. Like he's 2 years older than me. And I was in that airport, and I was snotting and sniffing, and he looked at me, he said, man, stop crying and get a ticket. Meaning, what are you crying for? Like, you crying like it's over. You crying like I'm never going to see you again. You crying like me going to college is a death sentence to our brotherhood. And me and my brother that went off to college, him and I are closer today than I feel like we ever have been, living with each other, sharing the same bunk bed, sharing the same room, ever. And so I live off that now. I'm not crying no more. I'm standing still until I can get a ticket. I'm being patient. I'm understanding. I'm learning things. Like, that let me know, like, everybody got to go on their own journey. And you can't let people, because this is, like, you have to understand, this is my best friend. This is my brother. Like, I'm following around him since I could remember. Like, super tight. Like, that man been looking out for me since I can remember. Like, he takes his brotherhood very seriously. And he's been that way since we've been little. And for him to say, bro, stop crying and get a ticket, that opened my eyes up to something completely different in life as a man. I still cried. I mean, that's my brother. But it made me it made me understand, don't ever give up your right. Don't ever give up your right. My brother loves me like no other. The reality of that is that his dream was more important at the time. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying that because that taught me, at all costs, go after your dream. Do the things that you need to do for your dream. It doesn't matter how no one else feels. My brother didn't get in the passenger seat on his journey. My brother didn't give me the key to his journey. He invited me to be a passenger by saying, stop crying and get a ticket. That changed me forever. I think about that every time I'm emotional about something. If I could fix it, what am I crying for? You see what I'm saying? And I literally cried. That day I was literally crying. I mean, I'm not even on front. Like, I was snotting and sneezing and, oh my God, I can't believe you. Like, in the airport, and he's just looking at me like, fam, I taught you better than that. Relax. Get a ticket. And so it's just funny because it's so many little nuggets that he dropped just being him, right? And I know I talk about him often because he has a big impact on who I am as a person. But just watching him and then going through my own journey and just realizing, like, I have to do what I have to. Like, I'm somebody's dad. You feel me? A lot of somebody's dad. I can't be focused on other people's journey. I can't be focusing on, or I can't be allowing people to come take over my journey, because if you taking over mine, you taking over my kids. And if you teaching me wrong, I'm teaching them wrong. So I have to be very careful in who I'm allowing to get in my mental space, who I'm allowing my secrets to, who I'm allowing to release who I am allowing myself to release my ideas to. I don't need a mentor. If you haven't been through what I've been through, I don't need a mentor. I'll read a couple books, get a couple principles. I'm very logical. I'll apply it to myself, and I'll let it be that. I'll let it be that. I used to panic a lot, right? I used to panic a lot before I knew there were panic attacks and stuff like that. I used to panic a lot, but I always used to get to the light. So even in the midst of the fog, I always was able to get to the light. I'll be panicking. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do that. But I kept fighting, kept figuring it out. And I always got to the light. And I started realizing you got to stop that cycle. When that panic starts to try to come, you gotta see the play. Like I said a couple of podcasts ago, my brother said, touch everything to the end goal. So if I am actively applying everything to the end goal, things that are trying to attack me, what if they're they're attaching it to the end goal, right? Whatever it is, confusion. The end goal is to keep me confused so I can't get out. Anxiety, to keep things piled in my head so I can't get out. Depression, keep me down to the point to where I want to end it all. Those are the end goals on the negative side, but on the positive side, the end goal is to create an empire so that my kids could be able to say, you know what, I want to build a new school hoverboard, and then they don't have to harass nobody for no loan. They can go to their stuff, that they can go to their own money because they're entrepreneurs themselves and they can build it themselves. You see what I'm saying? I want to leave a legacy to where, if nothing else, you're a good father. You know, my daughter, if nothing else, you're a good mother. So I have to be careful who I let in. So if panic is upon me, I gotta rush to the light. I gotta rush. Like, that's the one thing. If panic start hopping on me, I gotta rush to the light because I can't sit there. That's the one place you can't sit. Because that panic, it turns into a very dark area if you can't figure out what the play is. When I'm going through something and something hit, I immediately say, I got to figure out what the play is. I played football for ages, right? And I've always been a defensive back. And then I was a safety, meaning I'm always the last line of defense, right? So I'm used to that. I carry that position with me like a badge of honor. So I always gotta figure the play out. I always gotta see, multiple things. I have to analyze what's happening in 4 different scenarios. But if my mind is filled with confusion and panic and anxiety, I can't do that. So the end goal for me is to fight through the fog and get to the light. But if I'm rushing through everything, I'm not going to be able to see all that. If I'm rushing through, I can't analyze I can't analyze the different things that are coming. Something coming this way, that way, up, down, left, right. I can't figure that out if I'm driving too fast because everything is blowing by me. So I'm not seeing the opening. I'm not seeing that small crease that I need to get to the light. So I choose to drive slow. I choose to relax. I choose to stay calm. I stay away from everybody. I stay out of everybody's business. I see a lot of things, and I don't know, one of the podcasts I said something about the trolling or whatever. I see a lot of things online that it could be. I saw a snail cross the road today, and you'll have negativity on that. Snails can't cross the road. Why would the snail cross? And people will go hard on you. I always say I'm a king of minding my business. If it's not life or death to anybody in my household or somebody that I love, man, that's crazy. What? That's what happened? Whew. Other than that, that's all you're getting from me. I'm not getting in an uproar because I don't know these people. I've seen people almost get into full-fledged fights over people that they stand. They're what the young people call stands of. Couldn't be me. I drive slow so I can avoid all that. I drive slow so I can learn how to believe in me. I drive slow so that I'm able to see the journey for what it is. When you're young, you just drive. Everything is fast. Everything is bam, 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 bam. You ain't learning nothing. You're not obtaining anything of substance. You're drinking, you smoking, you partying. You living your life. You like as you should. You learning. You feel me? You figuring out like, oh, I want to be a fun person. This is what I want to do. Everything don't have to be so serious. But then you get to a point to where it's like, man, I moved way too fast. Like I know a lot of people who be like, man, my 20s went by so fast. My 30s went by so fast. I seem like I've been 40 forever. Because your body is like, fam, you've been ripping and running physically, emotionally, spiritually since you've been born. And since you're not going to slow down, your body is like, I'm going to slow down for you. I'm going to start letting you see certain things. I laugh because, like, I'll never forget the things that I cared about from the time I turned 18 to the time I turned, I want to say 32. By the time I turned, not even 32, because I've been old for a long time. By the time I turned 30, a lot of things didn't matter. I didn't care about. By the time I turned 35, almost everything that I thought was important, reality set in that it wasn't. I mean, arguments and stances that I've had, and the way I think about this and think about that, and I'm so adamant about it, between 18 and 29, and now I'll be 38 in November, and there's not too much that I'm like, ugh. The difference is from now and then, or from then and now, is that now I'm enjoying driving slow. I'm enjoying the knowledge I'm obtaining. I'm enjoying the wisdom that I'm getting. I'm enjoying it all. Because I get to drive now. I get to drive with a clear spirit. I get to drive with a clear mind. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how hectic it seems, it's chaotic peace. I've learned how to maneuver through my chaos. The chaos of my life is great. I don't wish it upon nobody. But I've learned how to manage it. I've learned how to get through it. I've learned how to continue fighting. I've learned how to do these things. And I encourage everybody, like, don't let nobody put you in the passenger seat. Believe in yourself. Believe in everything you got going on, even if it don't make sense to the next person. I did a post the other day or yesterday, and I'm like, they laugh, but I keep creating, I keep fighting, I keep pressing. Something's gonna hit. The beauty of it all is that I'm creating for me. I'm creating because it's therapy for me. This I am enough that you see sitting next to me, I created that for me. I had to tell myself that. I had to believe in myself again. Like, the journey is always going to be the journey. Your story is already written. You just got to meet it at the right time. So, with that, I'm just, I advise y'all to slow it down. Stop speeding. Drive slow. It's Kamplexx.